this whole phenomenon of consumerism for younger patients and collecting skincare like they would
Hmm.
baseball cards or, whatever is just brand new.
Welcome to That's Derm Good. I'm Janelle Ball, and I'm excited to bring you thought-provoking conversations about biologics, specialty medications, treatments, and so much more. I'll be chatting with some amazing guests about access, affordability, and advocacy. You're really going to enjoy this show. Welcome to That's Derm Good. Today, my guest is Dr. Hallie McDonald. Dr. McDonald is a board-certified dermatologist and co-founder of Early Skincare. Welcome, Dr. McDonald. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, we were just talking a little bit about the early skincare, but I kind of want to get a little background. You've always wanted to be a doctor. So tell me a little bit about that and how you got into dermatology.
Yeah, so I am one of those weird ones that always knew I wanted to be a doctor. So I grew up in West Texas, El Paso, and my father was a physician, and his father and his father. So I'm
Wow.
fourth generation. I'm the first specialist and the first female, but it was something that I always felt a calling for. And when I was growing up, I used to go with my dad on the weekends. He was an internal medicine doctor, but he also did in hospital call as well. So on the weekends, he would go and see his patients in the hospital, and I would go with him and either go with him on rounds or sit in the doctor's lounge and kind of absorbed all of that. And in high school, I even went on house calls with him to see his patients that were homebound. And it was just really inspiring to me. But I also knew that, internal medicine, it's a tough life. And his patients were chronically ill, and he'd know them for 20 years and they'd get sick and then they would die. And it was hard. And he had a lot of highs and lows with that. And I knew that that was not going to be my path. I was not cut out for that. But when I was in high school, he was in private practice, and in his office space, a young female dermatologist moved in an office on his same floor. And I kind of got to know dermatology during that time and saw that her patients were generally healthy for the most part. I mean, of course, in dermatology, we do have chronic illnesses, but fortunately, very few have high mortality. So, and a lot of times we can fix their problems. So, you can have a patient that comes in with a skin cancer and leaves 30 minutes later without it after you excise it. So there's something super satisfying about that, as well as the variety. I love that I get to see babies and children and teenagers and young adults and elderly folks, everybody in between. So that's super exciting for me as well. And then the variety of procedural and medical. I do a little bit of cosmetics, but kind of all of the above. It kind of keeps me on my toes.
Yeah, that is so fun. I feel like you definitely can see patient care firsthand in dermatology or just in healthcare in general. That passion for helping others, it just kind
Mhm.
of it can be contagious. And that's really exciting that you got to experience that firsthand. So you went to school and you're like, okay, it's dermatology. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yes, I got distracted though, because, in medical school, it was just everything was so interesting and so
Mhm.
exciting. So I was definitely focused on derm from day one. But when I started doing my clinical rotations, my first one was in psychiatry, and, it was my first clinical experience. And I got so excited with that and thought, well, maybe I want to be a psychiatrist. And then my
Mhm.
next one was OB-GYN, and I was delivering babies. And I thought, well, my gosh, obviously I have to do this because I've got to deliver babies all the time. And then I did general surgery, and that was super cool. And we got to do like exploratory laparoscopies and like all the things. So every rotation got me kind of sidetracked a little bit, but it was
Yeah.
always derm from day one. So
Yeah.
I just loved going through all those different specialties and learning
Mhm.
about them. I was like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah, I feel like the delivering babies would be fun.
Oh my gosh. It was
I'd be in there
so
all the
fun.
time, like, let me just hold your baby again.
Uh, I mean, and there's lows in that too, because not,
Yeah.
there's complications and all that kind of stuff. But,
Mm.
for a healthy, successful delivery, I mean, you are there at the most joyous time in somebody's life, and it's just magical.
Yeah, that is so exciting.
Yeah.
So, as the first woman physician in your family, what
hmm
has that milestone meant to you personally and professionally?
Interesting. So, medicine's changed so much over those generations, as you know. And I grew up, in the 90s, where it was very different to be a physician. The payer system was different, reimbursement was different. There was no electronic medical records. It was very different. And as I was moving into college and medical school, that tide was shifting a bit. And it wasn't something that my family pressured me into. They said, this is what you're seeing and what you've seen growing up is not going to be the world of medicine that you will be in. But I still felt that very deep calling that was still what I wanted to do, regardless of what the future may have held. So I was really, I guess, stubborn and headstrong that I was still going to go through with it. Obviously, I'm glad that I did, and so's my family. But so for me, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be the first woman or I'm going to carry on the family legacy. That wasn't
Mhm.
really it at all. It was just, this is what I have to do.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So, as far as like getting into, you mentioned a powerful article from Northwestern published in the Journal of American Academy of Pediatrics. What was something that resonated with youth in your practice and your clinic about that?
Yeah, that article was amazing. So, really, what it did is it scientifically proved what I see every single day in my practice. So,
Mhm.
what these researchers did is they set up TikTok accounts presenting themselves as 13-year-old children, basically.
Mm.
And they went to the For You page on TikTok and took 100 videos of Get Ready With Me's that they were fed from the algorithm. And from those videos, they took a look at what sort of skincare products were being presented to them. And for me, it was really not necessarily eye-opening because I'm seeing it in my practice, but
Mhm.
it validated scientifically what the real problem is. And what they saw was girls on an average were using about 6 products at a time. There were some that were using up to, 10, 11, 12 steps.
Gosh.
The cost was really alarming. The average cost of these routines was about $168 per month, and some were over $500 per month. And these are teenagers that they picked. So don't quote me on this, but it was somewhere between 13 and 18 years old. So these are
Mm.
children that are using these complicated routines. And not only that, it was all the layering of active ingredients that really are inappropriate for a lot of children. And
Yeah.
so, with that habit that they're building of using these products that are inappropriate for their skin, not only can they cause short term problems, irritant dermatitis, perioral dermatitis, what have you, but if you develop allergic contact dermatitis at a young age, that's something that you carry on through your life. Skin has memory. So, if you become allergic early, that's not something that your body will get over.
Wow. I never even thought about that. That is so wild. So are you seeing a lot of that in your practice? Like a lot of young girls coming in with issues like that because they're following these trends on TikTok?
Totally. And this is a brand new phenomenon. I went to medical school 20
Mhm.
years ago, and the concept of skincare really did not necessarily exist back then. It was more, you wash your face and you wore your sunscreen. And
Mhm.
if you had a pimple, you might put on some Clearasil. And, it just wasn't what it is today.
Toothpaste.
Yeah, it's this like,
Right.
sea breeze or Noxzema or whatever it was back
Mhm.
then. This whole phenomenon of consumerism for younger patients and collecting skincare like they would
Mhm.
baseball cards or, whatever is just brand new. And I believe very social media driven, getting influences from all sorts of different areas. But I have noticed in the last, probably pre and post COVID was probably when I first started noticing it.
Mhm.
Not just younger patients, but patients of all ages coming into my office with adverse side effects from their skincare routines.
Mm.
And it'd be very straightforward to me. I'd look at them and could tell right away, like, whoa, what are you using on your face? And then they'd pull out a shopping bag with 10, 12 different things that they're using at any given time, not understanding what these ingredients are, not knowing why they're using them, except for the packaging or the brand name or what have
Mhm.
you. and then mixing things together that should not be used together or on their particular skin types. I just felt like there was so much misinformation out there. Patients weren't really even wanting to know what was in their skincare. And that really escalated in the last several years.
Yeah.
And so, it got to a point, at least for me, where I would be telling these patients, okay, well, throw away that whole bag of, $700 worth of skincare products or whatever you have in there and go buy these hypoallergenic, fragrance-free, safe
Yeah.
products for your skin. And my patients didn't want to do it.
Right.
They had this collection. They were proud of it. It looked beautiful on their shelf. They were displayed in the bathrooms,
Right.
and I get it. So when I started talking with my co-founder, Jamie Chanley, a couple years ago, we were really discussing how skincare is such a crowded and overwhelming space. But there really was, at the time, this white space in the industry to develop a line that was hypoallergenic, fragrance-free, appropriate for all ages and skin types, but also beautiful and aspirational, and didn't take the ritual out of skincare, because that piece is part of the new phenomenon. People want to feel like they're treating themselves when they're
Yeah.
doing their skincare rituals. It's not just about getting a clean face or putting on a moisturizer. They want to feel like they're taking care of themselves in the morning and in the evening before they go to bed.
Yeah. So I have to go back. I was thinking about this as you were talking, and I'm like, I go with my daughter to doctor's appointments.
Yeah.
Are parents with these kids, and are they the ones that are spending $300 to $500 a month? And they're like, sure, that's okay.
Yes. It's
That is like,
fascinating. It
yes.
blows my mind. And it's not just that. It's like, it becomes the birthday gift, right? You're going to your 13-year-old
Yeah.
birthday party, and then they're getting a gift certificate to Sephora, and then they go and they buy whatever they see. And like, it's not just the parents literally saying you have a
Yeah.
$500, per month skincare
Right.
budget. I think that there are some
Yeah.
people like that, but I do think they're getting it from multiple different sources as well. And they trade
Yeah,
it.
that's true.
They
Yeah.
trade it. They say like, "Oh, I have this. You should try that." And then all of a sudden, now we all have
Yeah, it has a
irritant
trickle.
dermatitis.
Right, it has a trickle down effect, which is funny because I was just thinking about this too the other day, because for Valentine's Day, my husband got my daughter a little card and some candy, and then there was a little Ulta gift card in there, and I was like, wait, what?
I know.
Which she likes Ulta because we have to get stuff from there because she does competition, so she has to wear
Yeah,
makeup and stuff. But he doesn't know, so that does make sense. My mother-in-law, she'll get her stuff for Christmas. She got her
totally.
a Ulta gift card because that's what they talk about. But
And they love it.
also,
And
yeah,
they love it. They just need better options or to
right,
understand what they're using.
right,
So when this phenomenon first started coming up, and again, it wasn't just younger kids. It was like it
mhm,
was my peers. It was everybody. But I really was trying to just say throw away everything, and it just wasn't working. I mean, you need to give them an
mhm,
alternative that is an equal replacement, not
mhm,
just, oh, what you're doing is really bad for you and you can't do any of that, because
right,
it just didn't work.
yeah. Do you go through like what's in the product and say, okay, you see
Mhm.
that this is in here and this is what's causing, that flaring in your skin,
Yes, absolutely.
to kind of help them?
It's very time consuming, especially when they have a grocery bag full of, 15 products, and you've seen
Hmm.
ingredient lists that are, 20 or 30 ingredients long.
Yeah.
And the truth is, a lot of the times it's multiple things in that product that are causing the problem. It's not just
Hmm.
one thing. It's the fragrance, it's the retinol, it's the AHAs, it's the BHAs, it's the combination of
Hmm.
all of the above. It's the layering of, I mean, I've had patients who are using 2 to 3 different retinols all at the same time and not even knowing it.
Wow.
I know. And then they come in with these with terrible inflammation on their face, and they're wondering why. And it's just
Hmm.
because they don't know what they're using. And it's not their fault either. I feel like they're, being fed all this stuff, like that Northwestern article really scientifically proved. The
Hmm.
messaging out there really is very confusing. for patients.
Yeah. So how do you talk with teens and their parents about navigating skincare content online safely?
Mhm. So I really believe in keeping it simple.
Hmm.
That's my philosophy. I really don't believe that a multi-step routine is necessary for anybody, really.
Hmm.
And so I really try to dial it back down to education and the basics. For teens in particular, I really say there's three things that you need. You need a gentle cleanser, a moisturizer with SPF. SPF is the non-negotiable, and I really try to focus on getting that habit solidified at an early age to make sure that that habit alone
Hmm.
can take them throughout their life. And back to the Northwestern article with all those 10-step routines and everything, one of the more alarming things for me as a dermatologist was only about a quarter of those routines had SPF in them. So
Hmm.
if you have 10 products, I mean, please let at least one of them have SPF,
Right.
for the love, like please.
Yeah.
So I really try to hammer that home at an early age, talk about skin cancer. Sometimes skin cancer doesn't necessarily resonate with teenagers. They think they're invincible, that's never happening to me, etc. But they
Hmm.
do understand aging, believe it or not. And so I'll bring up, if you don't want to, age early, you can prevent your wrinkles from coming. And that tends to resonate with them a little bit better.
Hmm.
But I definitely talk about both. And then the last thing that I think is important for just good skincare habits is a gentle nighttime moisturizer. So
Hmm.
those three really keep it simple. And then if you want to target any specific concerns, whether that's acne, redness, glowiness in your skin, antioxidants, what have you, then we
Hmm.
can specifically talk about ingredients that are safe for their skin types.
Yeah. Is there a difference between like 9, 10 year olds versus your 17, 18, 19 year olds with their skincare routines, or should they all kind of still be the same?
I do think they change a little bit over time. The 9, 10 year olds, I mean, those ones really, I'm like, just wear
Hmm.
your sunscreen, kids.
Hmm.
Let's be real simple on that. As they approach late adolescence and early adulthood, their skin has gone through a lot of hormonal changes. And
Hmm.
so their skincare routines can be a little bit different than those pre-adolescent children.
Yeah. So as far as like step routine, so somebody that's dealing with maybe some acne or
Mhm.
some, dry skin, how would they do their routine, I guess? Would they would cleanse, use their cream, or what? How would that
It
what would
depends
that
on what
step
we're
be?
talking about. So, if we're talking about like a very mild acne, let's use that as an
Mhm.
example. So, I still believe in very gentle cleansers, and then they can use an anti-inflammatory product, whether that's a niacinamide serum. There are a lot of great over-the-counter acne topical treatments as well. One of my favorites is adapalene. It used to be a prescription medication. It went over the counter years ago, and it's been really, really great for access for patients because it's affordable and it's really effective. It is not appropriate for all skin types. So if you are very acne prone and not sensitive, then that's a great one for you. And then a moisturizer on top. That's
Mhm.
really important. And again, a lot of teenagers are very afraid of using a moisturizer because they think it's going to clog their pores or cause acne. There
Mhm.
are lots of great products out there that are non-comedogenic that really support the skin barrier. I mean, acne is an inflammatory state where your skin barrier is broken down. And
Yeah.
if you dry your skin out too much, and a lot of our over-the-counter and prescription acne treatments dry the skin out quite a bit, and that's done on purpose, and they can be quite effective. But if you get too dry, your skin notices that as an assault to the skin and it tries to protect itself by pumping out more oil. And then
Mhm.
guess what? You get worsening acne. So it does become a vicious cycle. And I think it's really about educating people that your moisturizer is not causing your acne. And, adding moisture to the skin and oil are very different things.
Yeah. Most of the young girls are probably trying to self-diagnose what their skin type is. How does somebody learn? I mean, I guess other than coming into a doctor's appointment, they're probably like, "Oh, well, I'm so oily," but it's because of the product that they're using.
Right. That goes back to simplicity. So I
Mhm.
feel like if you're really using a gentle cleanser, light moisturizer with SPF and a gentle moisturizer at night, you're not going to
Mhm.
get into too much trouble with that. My best advice when people are asking me this who aren't my patients, so I see out and about, that I say, well, try some easy over the counter stuff for 6 weeks. If you're not where you want to be, then come in and see a dermatologist, because
Mhm.
there's so much misinformation out there, like we talked about. I mean,
Mhm.
and most of that demographic is getting their information from their peers and social
Yeah.
media. That's it. And they don't want to
Mhm.
listen to their parents, and they don't want to listen to anybody else. And oftentimes when they come into my office, they don't want to listen to me either, because they want to just show me what they bought on TikTok. But I do think it's really about meeting them where they are, as opposed to trying to take away all the fun stuff that they want.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're looking at all these products and they're like, "Oh my gosh, these are so cute."
So
But, and
cute.
I see my nieces kind of doing the same thing, and my daughter him, "Oh, well, she uses this." And, so then I see my younger niece who's like 8, she's like, "Yeah, well, my sister uses that. I want to try it." And, so I'm
Exactly.
like, "Oh my gosh."
I know. One of the things I tell my patients a lot is, what's good for your friend is not good for you.
Right.
Because they'll say, well, so and so used it. I'm like, well, clearly that's fine for them, maybe, but not for you.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's that concept is really difficult for some people. They like, there's a lot of sameness in that
Mhm.
demographic. You want to fit in, you don't want to stick out. They want to wear
Mhm.
the same brands, they want to wear the same colors, they want to do the same things. It's part of their development. And
Mhm.
so, and this concept of skincare that used to not exist in that demographic now falls into that sameness. So they really
Yeah.
want to have the same things in their bathroom that their friends have. And that's how these brands just explode, because so and so's using it. And then that's why I want to use it. And then their friend wants to use it. And then all of a sudden it's everywhere.
Hmm. So you have young kids. I
Yeah.
want to say little. They don't like to
Yeah.
be called little. Do you have boys or girls? Do you see the difference
I,
between?
There's definitely a difference. My oldest, my 16-year-old, is a girl. And then my middle, eighth grade, 14-year-old boy. And then my youngest is a sixth grade girl. So there's difference in their ages and also their genders. So
Mhm.
both of my girls certainly fall into that consumerism for skincare. I thought surely as a dermatologist, I would be able to steer my children down the straight and narrow. And I was not successful in that, and still am struggling a little bit. It's just a really powerful phenomenon that's out there right now.
Yeah.
But I do think giving them alternatives versus trying again to just tell them what they're doing is wrong has been very helpful. My
Yeah.
son and his friends are less of consumers for that type of thing, but there
Hmm.
is way more awareness in teenage boys than there
Hmm.
was when I was growing up, who I don't think they even washed their face,
Hmm.
about skincare than there used to be.
Yeah. I've got some nephews, and I think my sister-in-law had mentioned, I was talking with her and somebody else, but I've seen some skincare companies that are targeted for boys, because
Hmm.
there's some guys, they want to know, they want to make sure their skin is taken care of, but then there's some that are just like, I can't get them to wash their face, but I need them to have something to
Yeah,
use to, at least kind of make sure that they're washing their skin or putting some
totally.
moisturizer on.
Well, I agree with that. I feel like the industry is really focused on women and girls.
Mhm.
And I do think boys can be left behind a little bit. For early in particular, we were really thoughtful with our packaging for the three things that I think are most important: the cleanser, the SPF, and the nighttime moisturizer, to make
Mhm.
those really gender neutral. Our serums, which are more for customization of your skincare, they're to target acne, inflammation, redness, dewiness, and antioxidant pores. Those have a little bit more feminine packaging, but the three foundational ones, we really wanted to be gender neutral for that exact reason. And we have
Mhm.
found that they've been adopted by boys and men. There's a lot of men using our line too, which has been really great.
Okay, so I'm so excited to talk about early.
Yeah.
Tell me how this originated, how this came about, and where the name came from and everything.
Yeah. So I have a co founder, Jamie Chanley, and we have been friends for about 10 years now. We met through our daughters. Her oldest daughter and my youngest daughter were in the 2-year-old class together in preschool. And so we became mom friends and have been mom friends for for years, and our families have become friends. And her background is more in tech and media and marketing, and mine is obviously medical. So we're very yin and yang. I never in a million years thought I would be an entrepreneur or be a founder of anything. I'm a doctor. I see patients. I take care of people. Like that's what I do. But we got to talking a couple years ago, right around when our daughters started to become victims of this skincare craze, that there really were no great alternatives for them. Again, like I said, if we're trying to tell them that they can't use any of it, that wasn't really working. They were getting the Sephora and the Ulta gift cards for their birthdays, and then they were wanting to go and buy these things, and just saying no to them and not giving them an alternative really was not working for us or for other families either. So we really thought that there was this white space in the industry to create something that was hypoallergenic and fragrance free and really appropriate for all ages and skin types, that didn't look boring or medicinal or clinical. We really wanted to create something that was beautiful and aspirational, and something that they'd want to put on their bathroom counter and give to a friend for their birthday and really enjoy using. So that's where we decided to create a line together. And we thought that our different backgrounds could really be synergistic in that way. The name Early is designed after our daughter's names. So Jamie's daughter's name is Emerson. My daughter's name is Lyle, and that's where we get the Early, and that's why it's spelled like that. It's also, of course, a nod to starting good skincare habits early and continuing those throughout your life.
I love that. That was my immediate thought when I saw Early. I was like, oh, that's great. I love it, because you do want to build those habits early
Mm-hmm.
on so that they can, grow. So what does gentle but effective truly mean when it comes to formulating products that are safe for all ages?
Yeah, so this part was the most fun for me. Again, from a very scientific medical background, doing the formulations was like a kid in a candy store. It was so much fun, and worked with a great chemist to make these formulas. So I really wanted to create products that not only were appropriate for younger demographic, but also could grow along with you. So from those early adopters who are just getting started with skincare routines to the 20 something year olds who are concerned about their first fine line and beyond, we wanted to be sure that the ingredient story supported all of those ages and stages. And so using ingredients that really were able to target multiple different skincare concerns without increasing the risk of contact dermatitis or irritant dermatitis or anything like that was really the sweet spot for me. So we're very heavy on peptides in our moisturizers. Both our daytime moisturizer and nighttime moisturizer have peptides, which are an amazing retinol alternative. So for those of us like me with more mature skin who are focusing on collagen building, elastin building, fine lines, really anti-aging, that supports that need in a really great way. We also are heavy on niacinamide in our serums. So niacinamide, I'm sure you know, is a great antioxidant, and it can really be a great anti-inflammatory as well. So niacinamide, that's in two of our serums, it's in Daily Dew and it's also in Daily Soothe, can be really great for improving redness, minimizing pore appearance, great for acne, rosacea, pretty much any inflammation that you want to calm down, that can target that. We also have a gentle ingredient that can target hyperpigmentation. It's called fluoretin. So these are all alternatives to some of the more harsh actives that are not appropriate for all skin types. And I have some parents who get a little bit nervous about the term hyaluronic acid, and it's really just about educating. This is not salicylic acid. This is a safe and gentle ingredient that really just binds water to act as a great moisturizer for the skin. And for more mature skin as well, for mine, I love it for fine lines because it can really plump up those fine lines and minimize their appearance. So all of these ingredients can be used throughout all ages and stages. And so kind of finding that mix and choosing them and formulating them and testing them, that's been so much fun.
Yeah, that is exciting. So they're fragrance free, is that right?
Yes,
How
everything's fragrance free.
how does that work? So I feel like products sometimes that I see that are fragrance free, they still have some kind of scent to them. What is that? What does fragrance free actually like really mean?
So it really means there's no added fragrances. So, and you're
Mm,
exactly right. So a lot of products use what we call masking fragrances.
mm,
So what it's trying to do with that is cover up whatever the smell is of the actual formulation. But
mm,
that makes it fragranced.
right.
Whether it smells like something or whether it smells like nothing, adding additional fragrances increases the risk of contact dermatitis. So we do not use masking fragrances. We do not use added fragrances to give it any desirable scent at all. We just have the formulation be the formulation. And quite frankly, they're very neutral in our product line. We have not had any problems with kind of that chemical smell.
Yeah. So you have a lot of, you sell this in your office, I'm assuming, right? What is
Yes.
some of the feedback that you've gotten from some of these younger girls that are, switching their routines out from their trends that they're getting, or maybe they're creating their own new trends?
We love it. It's been so satisfying. It really has grown in the most surprising and wonderful way. We just launched January of 2025, and our growth has been exponential. Yes, we sell out of my office, but we've got a large D2C business as well as retail, and we are expanding rapidly in the retail world and coming up with big partnerships soon. And it's really been amazing. And also to see the adopters of all different ages and stages. Again, it was inspired by our young daughters, but
Hmm.
formulated for all ages and skin
Yeah.
types. And as a dermatologist, that was really important to me because I didn't want to create something just for one subsection of the population. I really wanted something that could be adopted more broadly. And it's been really great to see, that I've had patients and families who buy it for their teenagers, and then the moms come back and they buy it for them, and then they're giving it
Hmm.
to their mom or their son, or their husbands are using it. And that's been amazing.
That's so good. I love that. I'm like, maybe I should get my husband
You
some.
get him some. He needs the face foam. Men love the face foam.
Yeah. Okay. It's always hard getting, they're always, and
Trust me,
guys
I
get
know.
set in their ways.
Totally.
So I'm sure your girls are like so honored that it's named after them. Either they are or they're like, whatever.
They
Do they,
have their
how,
moments.
do they love all the products? Are they sharing it with their friends? Are they like, hey, this is my product or is named after me or?
Yeah, I mean, initially they're like, "We have a skincare line." Like, you have done no work.
I know.
I went to school for 100 years to be able to have my expertise. You need to go to sixth grade. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I was
no.
just thinking, I'm like, yeah, my sixth grader probably would say
Oh,
that it's her own line, and
no,
yeah, you should try my product line. I
exactly.
can totally see that.
No, but I do think, these girls, they see how much Jamie and I are hustling and working, and it's a grind every single day. I mean, a startup is no joke. And of course, I'm still seeing patients, and I mean, that's what I do. I'm a dermatologist. So this is all the extra time in the day is dedicated to growing and building this brand. So I think initially for them it was super exciting, and they thought, "Ooh, we have a skincare line." They love the products and they share them with all their friends, and they're huge supporters, and they're on our social
Mhm.
media and all that kind of stuff. But I think the more important thing is modeling to our daughters and my son, and Jamie has a son too, just how much work it takes to get that wheel turning,
Mhm.
and modeling that for them, I think has been really great.
Yeah, I mean this is a good age for them to kind of even learn business and
Yeah.
understanding that. So like their knowledge, they're already set where they can continue to grow this brand and build this company with
Hmm.
you as they grow and they decide to do their own thing, but at least they have that knowledge, that business sense. And I think that is absolutely amazing thing for younger kids to be able to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they definitely think that early is cooler than being a dermatologist, that's for sure.
Right. It's definitely more fun. So,
It's more exciting. It's more whatever.
right. You can make your own TikTok videos. Um,
Exactly.
so for mothers who are not dermatologists, what would you
Mhm.
say to them about the best way to approach skincare topics and routines with their kids and hopefully keep them off of TikTok?
I know. My best advice, again, is keep it simple. I really believe in simplicity.
Mhm.
I don't believe in complicated routines. And so, again, giving them options that they want to use that are simple. So, gentle
Mhm.
cleanser, moisturizer with SPF, nighttime moisturizer, and that's really it. I think that you can really steer them wrong when you start allowing more, because that sort of concept of multiple step routines or that type of thing can really snowball very quickly.
Mhm.
Furthermore, I'm very passionate about educating young people, especially on what's normal skin and what's not reality. So there's
Mhm.
a lot of pressure on all of us, but especially on young people to go for these really unrealistic ideals, whether that's the way that they look or the weight that they have or their pore size.
Mhm.
And they're being fed all these images of flawless, airbrushed, filtered skin.
AI. Mhm.
And then they look at themselves in the mirror and think that they have something to fix. And all those images are not reality. And so
Mhm.
trying to convince people and educate people that guess what? We all have pores. There's no such thing as being poreless. Look at my pores, look at your pores. We all have them. It's difficult. I mean, I've got patients in their 20s and 30s that come in hyper obsessed about their pore size,
Mm.
just devastated that they can see their pores. And to me, that's very, very concerning. So I think talking to our kids at an early age about realistic body images, realistic skin ideals. What is normal is what you see in the mirror. It's not what you're seeing on your screen.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% believe that it starts with the parents setting that
Mhm.
example. If a parent is overly obsessed with certain things, it can trickle down.
I
The
agree.
younger kids see that. They watch mom put on makeup and, do their skincare routine and all of that. So, you know, getting them started early.
Yep.
Make sure that, if they are looking on TikTok and they're like, wanting to buy something, go to, one of these brands that is trusted and
Right.
getting them started on the basics. But I think it definitely starts with educating the parents to make sure
Yeah.
that they are not allowing that to happen, because that can be, you know, dangerous. And like you said, that what really stuck out to me was when you were saying how some of these girls can use these products and it can actually create a long lasting like eczema condition on their
Yes.
skin. Like
Hmm.
I did not know that. I didn't realize that if you use a product, so early on and it damages your skin, where that won't go away.
Yeah, and
Obviously,
younger
it's
skin
treatable,
is
but
more prone to developing allergic
Mhm.
contact dermatitis because their whole immune system is naive and it's learning. And so that's one of the main reasons we're totally fragrance free, because fragrances are one of the top offenders for allergic contact dermatitis. So with repeated exposure over time, you increase your risk of that. And especially if you start applying something to your skin daily at a very
Mhm.
young age, you have a much higher risk for developing that lifelong.
Wow. Yeah. So where can they go to buy products? Go to your website.
Yeah, our
Okay.
website is it'searly.com, and early is ERLY. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at early skin. Again, ERLY is where you can find us. And then bigger retail coming up soon.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what's next?
Yeah. Big retail's coming soon. We're not at liberty to say yet, but it's coming. And then new product development. People ask me that all the time because I'm so simple with skincare and I don't believe in a lot of routines. So we are not going to be a brand that cranks out new products, 2 or 3 per year. That's just
Mhm.
not who we are. We really believe in a curated collection of safe and appropriate products. We do have something in the pipeline, but it really is not going to be a very large collection when it's all said and done. We're going to be very thoughtful about new product development and make sure that it really fills a void that we have.
Yeah. How many products do you have currently?
We have 6 skincare products, and it's
Okay.
the 3 core ones, the cleanser, SPF, and nighttime moisturizer. We have 3 serums that are designed to target different skincare concerns. We've got an anti-inflammatory serum for acne, rosacea, redness, pore minimizing. Then we have a hydrating serum with hyaluronic acid. That's great for moisturizing and also plumping fine lines. And then our best-selling product is something called the Daily Dew, and it's an illuminating serum, but it also helps with hyperpigmentation, and it has some niacinamide for antioxidant purposes too. And so you can use all of those 3 together. You can take them or leave them. It really is just about what your skin may need on that particular day. And then we also have our last product is actually a mixing brush, which has been really fun for especially our younger customers. They use it to apply their products. So, their sunscreen, they apply it to their face, or their serums, they mix them together and apply. And that's been really fun.
Okay, nice. We'll definitely be checking that out. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing such good information. I think this is always a good topic to just kind of bring out there and create more awareness around, because we are seeing more and more skincare lines that are targeting these young girls. And I think it's so important for us to educate the parents and the young children as well. So
For sure.
thank you so much for all that you do. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you.
Thanks for spending a few minutes with me and listening to That's Derm Good. You can expect new episodes of That's Derm Good every week. The podcast is available on your favorite app, including where you're listening right now. Subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a new episode. Bye.